Everything starts with Dusty Rhodes, who is Cody's father. He held the WWE title in his hands in this image, but because he won the match by disqualification, he didn't actually win the belt, as you can't win a belt by disqualification, you can only win it by pinfall or submission. And he never won the belt, ever, since that day. That's the only time he actually held it. So this is basically Cody's motivation as a character since that day, and in real life as a goal, as a person, to hold the title that his father didn't get to do it outside of this one image where he wasn't even the champion. So, going back to when Cody was younger, he was sent to the WWE developmental brand to learn how to be a wrestler. There, he met CM Punk, a guy who has started wrestling in his backyard at 16 and has worked his way through every single company until he got there. As he worked with Dusty in those smaller promotions, Dusty asked him to look out for Cody, his son. They will both separately go to the WWE proper, where Punk was an upper mid-card guy, but never in top 3 or anything until his feud with John Cena. John Cena's story in the 2025 Royal Rumble is simple. He used to win a lot, to be the GOAT, and etc., but hasn't won a match in like 5 years. My GOAT is washed, is basically his story, and also this is his retirement year. So this is his last chance to win the Royal Rumble and win his 17th world title, which would break the record for the most world titles in WWE history. The connection between him and Punk starts back in like 2011, where Punk cut one of the greatest promos of all time on John Cena, which immediately made him a big deal, becoming one of Cena's greatest rivals. After beating Cena for the title, he basically turned good due to the reception from the people, from the fans. But around 250 days into his title reign, he starts turning mad. He starts turning into a bad person. The championship and holding it turned him into a bad person. And that's how he starts, just attacking and beating the hell out of The Rock and John Cena for the sake of keeping his belt and demanding respect. Teaming up with his old friend Paul Heyman, who will eventually become Roman's biggest glazer. And shortly after, he comes out with the Shield. In real life and in storyline, he created the Shield as a concept. And those guys help him against people like Cena or The Rock to retain the title. But eventually, The Rock does beat him. Punk, like a year later at the Royal Rumble, gets concussed and has a staph infection and a bunch more injuries, so he literally gets out of WWE and leaves. And doesn't come back for 10 years. They even have a multi-year lawsuit against each other. And while this happens, in real life, he talks a lot of shit about the company, and as you know, he becomes the UFC GOAT. Back in storyline, the Shield continues, and eventually Seth turns on Roman and joins the Authority for years and years. Kinda like Cena and Punk. Seth is a bad guy, but wrestling fans like him. Roman is a good guy, but nobody likes him. But even worse than Punk and Cena. Which informs a little bit the Tribal Chief character, who is born from the fans rejecting Roman, but also from in character, he's born from the trauma he got from, Seth Rollins betraying him. Transforming Roman into the Superman-like character when he wasn't able to really cut a good promo or have that many great matches made his career an absolute disaster for years. And again, in real life, outside of WWE, CM Punk was on a podcast spilling the beans about how management loved Roman, making fans dislike him involuntarily. So, Roman hated Punk in real life since that day, while Seth and Roman were friends in real life, but hated each other, in story. While everything happens, Punk continues to shit on the company for everything they did, And that upsets Seth, again in real life, who was not only on screen, but in real life, behind the scenes, Seth becomes like a company man. This basically ends their friendship, even though Punk created the Shield and helped Seth get his job, and Rollins even asked Punk to train him when he was like 16. They broke up basically because Punk hated the company and Seth was ride or die for the company. So Seth went from his biggest meat rider to real life enemy, real life op, as the kids say. Meanwhile, Cody, remember Cody? Remember when we were talking about Cody? And Drew, who you don't know about yet, but it's gonna be important later, are going through it. Okay, Cody's being stuck doing nothing of worth until he like leaves WWE, and then he goes to another company, and he goes from company to company. He builds like connections and popularity and friends and etc. to create the second biggest promotion in wrestling today, AEW, with the mission of overtaking and overthrowing WWE and changing the business, changing how wrestling works. The same way CM Punk said he's going to do all the way back against John Cena in that one promo, Cody Rhodes more or less actually did it. Now Drew here hates Punk because everybody hates Punk, okay? Everybody hates Punk. This Royal Rumble is about how everyone hates Punk and Roman Reigns, okay? Because back in the day, Punk just didn't give a fuck about Drew, like in real life, like behind the scenes, like Drew was like, I'm going through a tough time, bro. I'm like, help me out, bro. I need guidance. And Punk was like, I don't care, bro. You're a grown-ass man. Leave me alone. So Drew literally hates him in real life. And that turned into storyline later on when CM Punk comes back to WWE. But guess what? Drew also leaves WWE. Well, actually, he gets fired. And he has to spend years on the independents to, become relevant again and reinvent himself, so WWE will take him back. At some point, Roman has COVID, so he takes a break, and when he returns, he's different. From the good guy he's been for like 6 years, teaming up with Paul Heyman, the former manager of Brock Lesnar, the biggest bad guy in WWE for the past 10 years. And as a tribal chief, he absolutely destroys and abuses his cousins into joining him and creates this family cult about himself, about how he does what he needs to do to benefit the family, even if it means hurting said family. And most prominent actor outside of Roman in this is Jey Uso, who time and time again makes mistakes or in small ways defies Roman just for him to be physically or even mentally punished by Roman. Again, this is an abusive ass relationship. And ever since Roman turned bad, this guy, Kevin Owens, has fought Roman in the bloodline literally every single year. There's been a feud or a rivalry or something between them every single year since Roman turned bad. He's the number one bloodline op. He hates these guys. He's fighting them all the time, everywhere. Roman even, hit him with a golf car. This is in contrast with Sami Zayn, who's Kevin's like best friend, or former best friend, I guess you could say, who joins the bloodline. At first, he joins them to, get help and exploit the power that they have in the company. But it kind of develops in one of those things like, it's white boy, those memes. You know about it. You've seen the Eye Patch Wolf video. So Sami becomes part of the family. He at first especially has a hard time fitting in with Jey Uso, who hates him, but he becomes actually the closest to him because he has to overcome all these differences in order for them to get together. And they become like close together, they become like brothers. By this point, Drew already came back to WWE and has the opportunity to win the title from Roman in his hometown. But due to the bloodline interference, he loses and gets humiliated. This will send him on a path to destroy the bloodline later on. And when Cody comes back, his first match was against Seth Rollins. Remember Seth Rollins? Company man Well, Seth Rollins hates Cody for the same reason he hates Punk, because Cody leaves, shits on WWE, and then builds a whole competing promotion and now wants back in. So they have a series of matches, and Cody wins all of them. He then gets injured in one of those matches, and only returns at the Royal Rumble 2023, where he wins and goes to fight Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39, but loses, and everyone was pissed the fuck off at that time. At the same Royal Rumble event, Cody wins the Royal Rumble match. Sami is put in an impossible situation of choosing between Roman, the man who let him into his family but also abused him just like he abuses his family, or Kevin, who's been his best friend for like the last 20 years. And in a shot intentionally reminiscent of the Shield breakup, Sami turns on Roman with a chair to the back. Sami then fights Roman 1v1 and loses, but with Kevin would later go on to beat Jey Uso and his brother Jimmy Uso at WrestleMania and help even Cody in the main event, though, like I said earlier, Cody lose his first match with Roman. Jey, Sami's, off and on, like rival / friend, and Roman's cousin, eventually turns on Roman and breaks out of the abusive relationship as well, even fighting him, but though obviously not being able to beat him for the title. And now after 10 years of living WWE, going to UFC, becoming the GOAT of UFC, CM Punk returns in like late 2023. He goes into the 2024 Royal Rumble match where Drew McIntyre, the guy that hates Roman and Punk, legit injures him with a move that torn his tricep off the bone. The move wasn't even that crazy. It's just like one of those things that happens in wrestling. So he misses WrestleMania and he has to be a commentary, as you saw when he swept the fuck out of his leg of the commentary table. Since then, in 2024, Drew McIntyre and Punk have fought for like a year for the exact reasons that I already mentioned. And Seth Rollins, because of what I said about his relationship with CM Punk, fought Punk as well. And Drew got his ass beat by Punk in Hell in a Cell, which is a big-ass cage, and the feud ended. And his feud with Seth ended at the Raw premiere on Netflix like a month before the Royal Rumble. Punk even teamed up, whatever, with Roman and the Bloodline against the Bad Bloodline, which I'm gonna talk about a little bit later. This earned Punk a favor from Paul Heyman, the Glazer, who is kind of torn between his two clients, A theory about it from the fans is that Paul will turn on Roman to help Punk in the Rumble. That's what people speculate. I assume you know what happened last year. Cody won the Royal Rumble by eliminating a returning long-time friend CM Punk last and went to WrestleMania. But because The Rock came back and tried to steal the spot, Cody had to fight him and Roman at the same time and teamed up with Seth, who was once a rival of Cody, but Seth eventually, since he turned on Roman and now he turned good. And now he opposites Roman because he thinks Roman is like a abusive, weird guy who took all the power and needs to be stopped, just like 10 other people believe on this list, on this thing that I'm talking about. And after 10 long years, Seth helps Cody because instead of going to defeat Cody, he hits Seth with the chair the same way Seth hit him, but in a completely different context. He chose to take his revenge on Seth instead of finishing Cody when he could, and that cost him the match and Cody wins. So, after that, Cody is the champion, and he holds the championship up until today at the Royal Rumble, where will fight Kevin Owens, and I will mention why later. But Roman went away, and in his absence, his right-hand man Solo took over, brought new members into the bloodline, and declared himself the new tribal chief. Ooh, bad thing. Ooh, you're not tribal chief, bitch. What the hell? Everyone started booing him. You're not Roman Reigns. Fuck you. And then Roman came back, apologized to the rest of the family for what he did, teamed up with them and CM Punk against the Bad Bloodline, as I mentioned earlier, and even teamed up with Cody Rhodes. Ooh, it's like when, I don't know, Naruto and Sasuke team up, you know? Crazy, bro. It's crazy. But this is where Kevin Owens returns into the picture, because he was like, what the fuck? This guy abused his power, this guy being Roman, for years, and now you're teaming up with him, Cody? What happened? We just fought him like this year, like earlier this year. He was trying to kill you. What happened? Like now you're fine with him? Now you're teaming up with him? He doesn't understand the aura of you have to have with your rivals, after you defeat them, you have to kind of team. He doesn't understand the Dragon Ball logic they're working off of, but whatever. But he makes sense. He's like, what the hell? Like, why are you teaming up with him, Cody? And Drew McIntyre, who also hates, Punk and Roman and all these people, he's like, yeah, I hate the bloodline too. Like, why are you teaming up with him? Fuck you guys. And even Seth, who remembers now is a good guy, and who helped. It was like he was the last guy Roman hit before Cody won the title, and helped Cody probably the most. He teamed up with him against Roman and The Rock. It's like, why are you forgiving him for, Cody? This is weird. You and Sammy and Jay, you shouldn't forgive him. This is crazy. So there's this group of guys who are almost bad guys, but at the same time, they're not necessarily wrong, because Roman was a horrible person. So them standing against him, yeah, they might be bad in the sense that they're like, the crowd doesn't like them because they like Roman, but they're not necessarily wrong in what they're saying. So Kevin basically loses his mind and goes after Cody and beats him and sets up a match at Royal Rumble. He actually even destroys and almost kills Randy Orton, the guy who does the RKO, who's like a longtime Cody's friend. And he might return at the Royal Rumble as well, either to save or help Cody, or just in the Royal Rumble match to win it. So keep that in mind. And besides that, you have Drew here going after Punk because he hates him, going after Sammy and Jay because they helped Roman and they're part of the bloodline and he hates the bloodline. And also, he's kind of trying to be like the devil on Seth's shoulder, because Seth hates Punk and Roman, but doesn't necessarily hate Cody or Sammy or Jay. But Drew's kind of trying to turn him on them, to make him be like, hey, these guys are bad because they're teaming up with Roman. Beat their ass, Ooh, drama. So besides this, everyone hates Logan Paul. There's almost nobody on the roster who likes him. He had beef with Seth, Roman, Kevin Owens, Rey Mysterio. But nobody likes him, so people are just gonna dislike him in general. Rey Mysterio is a legend. You probably heard of him. He's the biggest luchador of all time, probably one of the most recognizable names and looks of any wrestler, and he just wants to win it like he did back in 2006. And Penta is another luchador that debuted a month ago in WWE, and is considered the second biggest. So they're probably going to have some sort of confrontation to settle who's the best, who's the biggest luchador of all time. And then there's Rey Mysterio's son, Dominic, who's the most hated guy ever, even more hated than Logan Paul, because he turned on his father, Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio is this legend that everybody loves, and Dominic was fuck my father, and then he beat the fuck out of him. And also, he turned on him so he could bang Rhea Ripley, who's this chick that everyone is thirsting over. And then he turned on her when Rhea became a good girl, a good guy, whatever. He turned on her to bang this other chick, Liv Morgan. And it's damn, this guy fucks and he's a piece of shit? Yeah, we hate this guy. What the fuck? So his father might unironically like have to like beat his ass and throw him out of the ring in the Royal Rumble. Then there's LA Knight, is another competitor. He had beef with Roman as well, and with Solo, and with the Bloodline, just in general. And now he has beef with Jacob Fatu. And Jacob Fatu is like part of like Solo's new bloodline. He's part of the new bloodline. And LA Knight has like beef with them as well. He also beat Logan Paul for the United States title. And as a ending note, and this is long as fuck, but hey, Kevin and Sami, remember, best friends, you know, one is against Roman, one teamed up with Roman. Kevin told Sami that he's like not mad at him for teaming with Roman because he knows he's a good person and forgives people and stuff. So he understands why he would forgive Roman. But he also kind of implies that the only way to prove that they're actual friends is for Sami to help Kevin win the title from Cody. So in his match with Cody today, if Sami doesn't help him, doesn't come in and fucking help him, Kevin is like, yeah, you're not my real fucking friend. Like, what the fuck? You helped Roman, right? You helped Roman and shit. Like, why are you not helping me for? Like, you know? And he kind of got a point, but also he's being a piece of shit, obviously, a manipulator, just like Roman, trying to get his way. Obviously, he doesn't actually give a fuck. He just wants the title. And at last, the Raw before like the Royal Rumble, Cody got attacked by Kevin, who used to be his friend. So that's part of the narrative, because Cody, obviously, they used to be friends until Cody helped Roman, who Kevin hates. And then even Sami hit him by accident, who is still his friend. So you could tell something was off about Cody. He just felt a different way. He was like very like, oh fuck, I fucking hate my life, you know? So Punk, remember CM Punk? Who's also Cody's friend, remember? They were together when they were like younger. Comes out and tells him, hey, you've had this title for about as much as I had when I went crazy. Remember, I mentioned that at the beginning. It turned me into a Mad King, or a guy or that one guy from Lord of the Rings or whatever the fuck. And I went mad with power, and like I couldn't, like, I was doing anything just to keep the title. I was losing friends. I was losing everybody. It was just kind of crazy. So I just hope you're okay and you're not turning into that. You don't become that. So they're kind of teasing, right? Cody turning bad. Cody kind of losing his mind the same way CM Punk lost his mind back in the day, like back in when he had the title for a long time. And then Punk says, because when I win the Royal Rumble, I will not stab you in the back like the rest of your friends, or those supposed friends of you. I will stab you in the front. I will come after your title and set you free from the responsibilities and, you know, the madness of the crown, the proverbial madness of the crown. For me, for himself selfishly, because he wants to be the champion. Obviously, everybody wants to be a champion, but also for Cody's sake, because this title is destroying his life. And that's about it. In conclusion, Seth Rollins hates CM Punk and Roman Reigns, but also doesn't like Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre doesn't like him, but also hates CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, anybody in the bloodline. He just doesn't like them. While all the guys in the bloodline right now are kind of friends with each other. You know, they're kind of on the same page, so they don't hate each other anymore. And CM Punk has a history with John Cena, but also he has this common denominator between him and Roman with the ultimate Glazer standing on the ringside, and who is he gonna be on the side of, you know? And obviously he hates Seth and Drew because they hate him as well. But at the end of the day, he wants to main event WrestleMania against Cody Rhodes, which is what they teased in the last episode of Raw.